Hello and welcome to my brand new series for YouTube. It's called One to One with Somebody. Each week I'm going to have some special people on, like content creators, landscape photographers, videographers, whoever we can get on to kind of get into the mindset with them and see what makes them tick. So without further ado, let's get on with our first guest, which is Greg Snell. Let's go. How you keeping, my good buddy?
I'm very well, Dirbid. Thank you. It is an honor to be the first guest on your one-to-one series here. This is very cool, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm well. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. So, who is Greg Snell?
Who is Greg Snell? Kind of hard to define myself, but I can definitely introduce myself. I am Canadian. I'm currently self-isolating in North Germany. However, I don't live here. This is where my girlfriend Nellie's family is from. So in these unprecedented times, this is sort of where we're kind of self-isolating and holding up until everything passes over. So, you know, that's nothing about me though. So I'm originally from Canada, but I haven't lived in Toronto where I'm from since 2009. So I have, been a traveler, nomadic, moving around, an expat, trying to build my business and exploring the world, you know. It's been a hell of a ride.
That's pretty cool, man. I love the whole idea about this whole nomadic lifestyle, and it's something I'd love to get into, but I'm kind of strapped here to Ireland for now anyway. But tell me more. So, do you like basketball and do you love the Toronto Raptors?
Okay, I didn't see that one coming. Do I like basketball? Yeah, I like basketball. When I was in high school, Vince Carter was kind of the main superstar of the Toronto Raptors. So I'd say that I like basketball. They did win the NBA championship 2 years back. So
last year.
Yeah, was it? Okay, apologies to anybody from Toronto, but I definitely do like basketball. So yes.
Excellent. We can remain friends. So okay.
Oh, great, thanks. That's good to know.
Okay. So, you are a content creator, but you dabble a small bit in landscape photography because of your trips with Brandon Vanson. So tell me more about, do you actually really like landscape photography, and what would be your thought process behind that?
I do really like landscape photography. Apologies to those watching. I'm just trying to fix my exposure here in my makeshift studio. Of course, I love photography. Yeah, it's a big part of my business. It's a big part of my travel experience. I got into landscape photography because of traveling. I wanted to try and share the locations and the experience I was having with friends and family back home. And this was before social media. So the way I used to do it was with mass emails. I would just attach a JPEG image to one of my emails and then explain what the photo was and send that out to all the contacts that I had. So landscape photography and photography in general, travel photography really, has always been kind of my go-to for sharing my nomadic lifestyle and travel experiences with the world.
Cool. So you mentioned like you're a big content creator now, so you do a lot of video work and you seem to love that also. Mm-hmm. So if you could only pick one, landscape photography or videography on a travel aspect, which one would it be and why?
Oh, good question. Would I rather pick photography or videography from a traveling aspect? I would stick with video. So that may come as a bit of a surprise because I know a lot of people watching this are photographers. Pardon me, this sun is just in and out here in Germany. So the video for me, I would rather share the video content because I feel like it has a more engaging presence to the viewer. So in that case, like I can add audio, I can add sound effects, I can have more of like a motion picture effect, whereas photography is just a still image. You can still tell 1,000 words with one still image, and quite often an image can define a nation. But for me personally, I like to create videos because I have more of a creative expression through video production, and I can just do more, essentially.
That's pretty awesome. So you actually won the best job in the world. So you got to travel to some beautiful destinations. Tell me more about winning the best job in the world. What were the perks and what did you do after winning that job?
Okay, yeah, good question. I'm glad you know about that. So the best job in the world was a competition held by Tourism Australia in 2013, and the grand prize was for 6 lucky winners to represent a state of Australia. And I was one of the lucky winners who got to work in South Australia as a wildlife caretaker on Kangaroo Island. And why
Awesome.
it was great. It was a life-changing experience. And why that was is because I essentially was hired to be a full-time content creator for the state's tourism board. So the state of Southern Australia has a budget to promote and market the experiences that the state has to offer. So a lot of that has to do with like national parks and wildlife refuges, and then of course tour operators and tour guides and people working within the tourism industry within the state. So my job was to come in as a foreigner and sort of highlight the best of what the state had to offer. And the way that I did that was through video creation, photography, and written articles like blog posts. And the state of South Australia, sort of curated all that content and then pushed it out through their channels to the world. So that was the basis for the small business that I run today.
That's awesome. That is really cool. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't envious of that. I would have absolutely killed to do something like that in my life. But look, maybe in my next life I might get to that.
Well, there were over, I think, 100,000 people that applied for that same job.
Whoa.
So it was like an 8-month application process. I had to do a number of serious stages of the application. So I made it to the top 25 out of 100,000 or whatever it was. And that was just a 30-second video. And then from the top 25, it was like a 3-week process to determine who would get into the top 3. And then the top 3 were flown to Australia for another 2-week intensive application. Like it was almost like reality TV, honestly. There was a film crew following us around. They made a video of me from that time as like kind of a featured participant before I had actually won. And that video is linked on YouTube. I mean, it still exists. So if you're interested, you can check it out. But it was like really intense, dude. I flew, and I was in South America at the time. So they flew me from Rio de Janeiro to Australia for this whole 2-week reality TV show application. And then when I actually won, they flew me back to Rio. And I had this weird 6-month kind of period before I moved back to Australia for the actual job. So
That's awesome.
It was hectic. It was hectic.
That's pretty cool. So let's move on, fast forward a bit into maybe 2019, 2020 maybe, and you got drafted in by who is called the F4. So that's a team of Adam Gibbs, Gavin Hardcastle, Thomas Eaton, and Nick Page. So in a weird way, you became F5. So do you think F4 should be renamed F5? And what was your experience working with such an established, fantastic, brilliant people?
Good question. I don't think F4 should be renamed. Is there even F5? Is that an aperture? I thought F5.6 or 4.5. You just make it up, huh?
Yeah, make it up as we go along.
No, definitely not. The F4 is the F4 for a reason. Those 4 guys are very unique personalities, and they hired me to come on board to help them as a videographer to film one of their upcoming projects, which I believe you know about from featuring them on your channel and on the podcast as well. So that's really cool that you guys have insight into what we did, but it was essentially a giant production, a 3-week production covering over 4,000 miles in the United States of an epic road trip. And it's the first season of what we hope to be a few seasons, depending on how well the first season does. But the guys they're on to something revolutionary. It's never been done before. You know, we're taking entertainment and education and just smashing them together into an epic adventure. And a lot of that footage is just raw. It's almost like a mix of documentary and unscripted, and it's really quite good. It's hard to explain because it's never been done before. It's
Yes.
brand new. So that's exciting to be a part of, and I'm really appreciative to those guys for trusting me to be able to capture 95% of that content in the field. And of course, there were mistakes and there were arguments and there were disagreements or whatever, and all that drama is captured in the final product. And that's bound to be, but it was as much a learning process for me as well, because I have produced documentaries in the past, and I have sort of that long form experience, but this is, again, brand new. So for them to ask me to be a part of it was great, and I hope that it will continue.
Awesome. We'll call it F5.6 from now on. So.
Yeah, right. I get the 1.6. They're all just one each. But
exactly.
There is actually a secondary character that I play. So it's not only myself as the videographer, but then I have a secondary character as well. So maybe that's where the 0.6 comes in. But you'll have to watch it when it's out to see what that's all about.
Okay. So what camera do you shoot on, and what are the pros and cons of it?
That's a great question, considering I've been, playing around with my aperture here. So right now I'm shooting on the EOS R and the 16-35 EF 2.8, and I shoot in full manual. I use this a lot for stills. This is actually my primary stills camera, but the image quality is so bloody good that doing stuff like this when you're indoors in what I thought was a controlled setting, it's really quite nice for the sharpness of this 2.8 lens, and the autofocus of the EOS R is just absolutely incredible. So that's why I'm shooting with this right now. But I also have the Panasonic GH5. It's right behind the EOS R. It's right here. So this is a great video camera. It's got fantastic reviews. I know you know this camera, but for anybody who's watching this that hasn't heard of the Panasonic GH4 or GH5, check them out online. They're fantastic video cameras. Not so much a good stills camera, which is why I have the EOS R, but it is quite a good video camera. And I've got two pieces of glass for this, the 18 2.8 Leica and the 12-60. But two main cameras.
Cool. So what's next for Greg Snell once this world gets back on its feet, man?
What's next for me once the world gets back on its feet? Yeah, I think like you and like everybody watching this probably, it's sort of unknown. It's kind of unprecedented, the time that we're in. Unfortunately for me, my business is tied to the travel industry and has been. I studied adventure travel in Canada. I've worked in travel and tourism since I was 17. It's the only real industry that I know, and having the opportunity to create content in travel videography and photography has been like a dream come true. That's what I've been building my business towards for the last 5 years. And 3 weeks ago, that just came to an absolute halt. So it's
tough.
Yeah, it sucks. In some respect, it's really difficult, but in others, you try and see the positivity in a difficult situation and take it as an opportunity to build something else. So I've been working on ways to make money that aren't specifically related to travel, and I know you know about the online course that I created for YouTube creators, which has been selling pretty well. And then I'm also editing the F4 content that we just talked about, and that's kept me really busy because it's a huge project, and also working on a couple other projects and ways to kind of make money in the next couple of weeks, more long term as well. So yeah.
Okay, last question for you, Greg Snell. When are you coming to Ireland to visit me?
That's a great question. I hope soon. I've got to go to Scotland as well. Apparently Adam Wadger Catcher Dodger wants to go on an epic road trip.
Wadger Catcher Dodger. Yeah, dodge him. Come straight to Ireland to me.
I've been telling him that I need to get to Scotland because I've never been to Scotland. I have been to Ireland. So when will I go back? It's a good question. I mean, obviously not right now because travel restrictions are so tight, but it would have been nice to get there this summer. I did have a note. I've got a 2020 schedule, and any gaps that I have in the schedule, I put little notes to myself about what I could do. And I'm pretty certain one of the notes was go and visit Diarmid and Darren in Ireland and do a couple days road tripping around Ireland for content for the channel. So it's something that I've been considering, and I hope that I'm able to produce some epic B-roll for you and your channel at some point. And I might even do it for free, Diarmid. I might, maybe, but don't tell Gavin Hardcastle.
That is ridiculously cool of you to do it for me for free. Now that's a real friend if I've ever met one. So, Greg, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. You are my first guest on the one-to-one series. So I look forward to getting some new guests on now in coming weeks. And we do have Michael Perea coming next week, so please do tune in for that. And if you want to check out Greg's channel, do click on the links down below and you get links to his online tutorial class on Introduction to YouTube, which is absolutely awesome. I cannot recommend enough. But press my link because it is some bit of an affiliate link.
Oh, so that's what this is all about, huh? Is it then? Well, if anybody else wants an affiliate link, you know where to find me. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Dear Mid, thanks so much for asking me to come on to the interview series here. And I look forward to watching next week with Mike Perea. He's a great photographer, so I'll be definitely tuning in when that goes live.
Excellent. Thank you very much, buddy. Thanks, Will, for watching, guys. Press the like button, comment, subscribe, do all that crack, and we'll see you next week. Hey, yo!
Bye.